What's going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today we're going to talk to you about ChargePoint. It has been quite some time since I've covered ChargePoint, so I want to go over some of the data points, what's been coming out from the company itself, and where I see things going from here. Before we get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So today it did close 0.74% in the green, which is lagging. So it goes to show that there is a certain level of hesitation when it comes to ChargePoint. A lot of volatility, so $1.34 the low, $1.40 the high, and kind of low volume. So 7.7 million shares being traded, 11.7 is the average. Majority of the volume that did come today was from shorts as well as algorithmic trading. You can kind of tell the algos based on a lot of this barcoding right here, but big money has still been avoiding ChargePoint. My last video, which was maybe a month ago, I said the exact same thing. So basically this non-existent page right here is kind of all the transactions over the last 90 days above $100,000. So it goes to show that big money is not really looking at ChargePoint. And in reality, I think a lot of that does stem from their last earnings. So their last earnings essentially were horrific, and not only that, but they did kind of give very poor future guidance. So even for the upcoming December earnings, which hasn't been officially confirmed for that date, but -9 cents for the earnings per share, 101.49 million for the revenue, and over the last 90 days there has been 1 positive, 7 negative revisions coming from analysts. So analysts have literally just taken a step back associated to ChargePoint, and I think this earnings right here that came out in September, that was supposed to be their game changer. That was supposed to be where they start to really and truly pivot. But unfortunately, nothing all that much has really come out from the company itself. And just to give you a quick overview of some of the recent news, there was news that came out this morning. It's good, but it's just fluff, essentially. And that's been unfortunately the case for ChargePoint, is just the lack of news. And if anything, with a lot of their headcount, I think they're reducing by 15% if I recall correctly from their last earnings. It's shows more pain essentially is coming. And there has been this, so what came out looks like after hours yesterday, a lot of Form 4s, and they coded a lot of this wrong. So I'll give you guys a quick overview of what I mean. All of this is directors and various different positions, but this is right here, transaction code S. So transaction code S does mean sale, and so it's not for tax purposes, but luckily to those individuals that are able to read, because it does state right here that this is for tax. And so essentially they used the wrong code, because even if you go under right here, transaction code F is for tax purposes. And actually, to be honest, just scrolling down, it looks like this is just something very an issue with ChargePoint. They just used the wrong coding, because all of these are transaction code S, so sales, so not for tax purposes, nothing like that. So yeah, it looks like they've never used the coding F before. So maybe that's something wrong with whoever does that, maybe their CFO or accountants or whoever is responsible for that. So I kind of went through everything, but in sum, all those Form 4s were these individuals right here. So various positions, so CFO, CLO, CAO, CEO, everyone was selling based on this, but it was truly just for tax purposes. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up. Shorts though, they did really double down. So they increased 1.24 million shares. 29.64% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 118.02 million shares overall are being shorted, and that works out to be $157.65 million worth. And like I said, just from today, shorts made up the majority of the volume. So this 1.24 million is net. So they were obviously trading back and forth today. So yeah, shorts have been, in reality, I've been covering ChargePoint on and off for a while now, and shorts have been in charge ever since, and no pun intended, have been in charge of ChargePoint ever since it was like at, I don't know, like $10 or plus. Shorts started to really dabble and just double down, and yeah, lo and behold, here we are. And you can kind of see that very resemblant based on here, just moving back. So in 2021, short interest was roughly, actually that's a bad example right here. So it was roughly around, it shows 16%, 18% of the volume. So shorts have been starting to really double down as ChargePoint didn't really hit all the marks that they truly were wanting to accomplish. So yeah, this, if only the stock price kind of resulted in this type of trajectory. But aside from that though, going over options activity, 71,000 in calls, 32,000 in puts. Sentiment wise, 45% of all the options being done today were bearish, anticipating more downside. Of the call options that are being purchased, you do see consensus for it to be above $1.50 by, looks like, around November, but similar to the common stock, just dollar value is relatively low. But looking at the puts though, you do see kind of a consensus for it to be sub $1.50. So there's a little bit of optimism, at least based on this right now. Looking at the technicals, so Elliott Wave technicals does have a pivot point right now of $1.18. So for as long as it is above that, then it is anticipated for more of a recovery to $1.78 to $1.91. So that's at least in the short term, so maybe something to kind of look forward to. Today we did have two data points coming out, so GDP and also initial jobless claims. Both came in line / a little bit better than anticipated. So that's good, shows that the economy is relatively strong. The downside though is that the likelihood of a 50 basis point cut for the November meeting did go down slightly. And I feel like even though having rate cuts is kind of a sign that they're trying to avoid a recession of sorts, at least that's what some people are assuming, I feel like rate cuts would really dramatically help ChargePoint's underlying business. But regardless, even if there is a 25 for the November 7th and also a 25 for the December 18th, that'd still be relatively good. So 100 basis points in 2024 would help ChargePoint dramatically. So hopefully that does come at least. But aside from that though, right now with it closing at $1.36, it is trading between this S3 and this S2. So $1.25 is a strong support that you'll want to watch for it to hold. Flip side, $1.50 is going to be the next strong resistance / target. Not really touching either of those points, so it's kind of just stuck between these never land kind of gap right here. But yeah, I think ChargePoint, it just needs that nice little push higher, and that is largely because of the company. The company needs to put out a good catalyst to really incentivize buying. And looking right here, you see number of retail investors buying, but it doesn't really account for all that much, right? What you need is entities to really get behind ChargePoint and to buy it. And with analysts being somewhat bearish on ChargePoint, as you can kind of see based on this, it kind of does insinuate that there is a little bit more pain coming versus again the future. But luckily enough, it has actually held this level very, very well over the last little bit. So hopefully come by the end of this week, if not early next week, it does transition into the higher percentile and then is able to run up to around that 50-day moving average, which would be at like $1.70. Stochastic, you do see it at 44, so kind of neutral somewhat, not really overbought nor oversold. So again, something to kind of consider. But retail seems to be loving these discounts, and so if you are part of that group that you have been buying, give yourself a shout out. What is your expectations for this upcoming December earnings? I know it might be a little bit premature to kind of talk on, but what is your expectations? One positive thing about ChargePoint is that for the most part, ever since I think it was Q3 2023, the expectations for ChargePoint have been so low that if they do a little bit of good, then the market will be very pleasantly surprised, and hopefully that could really push it higher. But again, I think you have low expectations for a reason, so it's kind of a glass half full kind of scenario. So it's a positive / negative. So what's your thoughts on ChargePoint? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And make sure you guys definitely take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for a new account, throw $100 at it, and they do give you 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. Kick-ass deal. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.